Good morning and greetings from Northumberland. As you can see, the curtains are closed today because the sun is shining so brightly on our garden. The interesting thing is that a field away, as you move closer to the sea, the har, the sea fret, is hanging over the coast, and you can actually see the line of it. It's fascinating for somebody who's not lived here very long to see it. It's probably slightly less fascinating if you're planning a day on the beach with your children, but that's another matter. It is amazing to see this little weather phenomenon and to be there right on the edge of it. There are lots of things out there in the har, in the midst, that I know are there, but I can't see. Standing on the beach yesterday, at one point we could see the Farne Islands, at another point we couldn't see them, but they were there. Jesus in the gospel today is challenged by the religious leaders about the resurrection of the dead. They come up with this sort of preposterous question of somebody who keeps married, of a woman who's married to 7 brothers, and then whose wife is she when they all die? And Jesus cuts through that and says, this is not a relevant question. The important thing is to know that God is the God of the living, and that when we die, we have hope. When we look at death, it's as if we look into a mist. We look into a mist and we cannot really see clearly what comes after it. But what we can see is the relationship that we already have with God. To know that we are loved and held and kept by the God who loves us. In the years when I was a hospice chaplain, I spent quite a bit of time talking to people who were within days and sometimes hours of their death. And often they said to me, what do you believe about all this? And I would say, as I would say now, that for me, death is about falling into the arms of someone who loves you. If we imagine the most powerful human love we ever experience, and then understand that God's love is exponentially greater and more sustained and more life-giving even than that love, then to die is to fall into the hands of love. And that is why the Christian faith is so transforming. Because ultimately, it takes away our fear of what is there in the mists. Because as we go into the mist, or as we go into the darkness, we set out not knowing the detail of what we will experience, but knowing the power of being loved. And that love will, as in the words of the psalm, carry us through the valley of the shadow of death and bring us to a place that God prepares for us. We needn't be afraid of what's in the midst, because in the mist there is the love of God. May God bless us all.